Alright, here we go. Just gonna fly by the seat of my pants like I always do. I'm gonna try to be rather punchy with this because I'm getting my next dosage of multiple sclerosis medication tomorrow, and I am not gonna have any energy after that. Sitting down for 4 hours takes a lot out of you, but I want to keep building my lead even though I've managed to get a decent amount of content scheduled in advance for the channel. At the present moment, it is 6:52 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on October 20th, 2025 for me. So that should give you some frame of reference as to the kind of content that I've put up around that time. As per usual, actually, do not pay too much heed to that. I definitely did not record a members only video recently as of the time that I record. There we go. Please consider following the guidance of the road signs at the bottom of the screen. I would very much appreciate any and all algorithmic or monetary support that is thrown my way as a consequence of this video. I want to talk about something very, very highly specific that is kind of fundamental to the story of how I became the Godzilla brawler that I am today. Yes, that's right, we're talking about Super Smash Bros. Today. And though at the current moment I am wearing a Godzilla -1 shirt, I'm going to do my due diligence and I'm going to represent SBY Smash. I don't know if I'm going to link her in any way, but the artwork of Shine the Seagull that adorns this faded, several years old shirt at this point.
I just wanted to record this because this is Future Henry here, and yeah, the artist that I was about to shamelessly plug and, try to help advertise, she blocked me on social media, so because my business is not wanted by this person, I shall withhold any of the free advertising that I was going to help throw this person's way. I really wish that it wasn't this way. I would have liked to have advertised them, but this edit, go to the members only videos if you want to watch the unedited shameless plug for this person. Anyway, back to the video.
I just hope she doesn't hold a grudge against me because it's been a good many years since I dated her sister, so I hope she doesn't hold any of that against me. Anyway, that has practically nothing to do with Super Smash Bros. So let's be brief here. This is the bingo card, quote unquote, that I had machinated / drawn up in advance of the November 1st, 2018 final Super Smash Bros. Ultimate dedicated direct prior to the release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as it came out proper in the real world. I have not played Super Smash Bros. In a decent amount of time, but should this video come out when I suspect that it will come out, SBY 100 should be happening in the relatively immediate future, and I do plan on going to that. You can thank the player known as Astra for going out of his way to directly tag me in the SBY Smash Facebook group post announcing SBY 100. I doubt I'll show up on any of the streams for that, but I will mention / link the SBY Smash YouTube channel in the description for this video, and I don't know, but I would imagine that there will be some way through which to access all of those different streams through that. Anyway, I want to see relatively how crushed I was shortly after the direct actually aired, because today is the better part of a decade later, so it's been 7 years, and according to my computer, the last modification date for this file was October 30th, 2018, approximately 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard, and I just kind of wanted to go over the things that I kind of expected, what I had hoped for, and we can kind of just laugh at it, and we can see if I get bingo. Stage Builder, that was not in the game at release. That one's pretty short, straight and to the point. I'm going to have more remarks to make on the stage builder that we did get in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate upon its eventual inclusion, but for now we can just say, I was wrong. We didn't get stage builder until one of the updates post-release. So next, All-Star mode. So I don't really want to mark myself as having gotten this one correct because Mob Smash was available in the game upon release, but obviously given the sort of Super Smash Bros. Brawl menu icon that I included there, I think I was expecting a more traditional form of All-Star mode in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate before it came out, and considering the degree of difference between Mob Smash, formerly known as Multi-Man Smash, and the formerly standard quote-unquote definition of what constituted All-Star mode, I can't really give myself that one. Then, top row middle, Cracka Launcher returns. This is pretty short, sweet, and to the point. Cracka Cracka Launcher is an item, and it was only ever included in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, but that was my favorite item. If I were to reach back in time and read the brain and mind of teenage Godzilla Brawler, so that's not a thing. Next, Maximilian Dude has the best reaction. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I don't remember any particularly standout reactions to the final Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct before launch. The only thing that you could argue makes this one even kind of a correct guess is that I remember Maximilian Dude praising the fact that Ken from Street Fighter was one of the first reveals in the final Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct, and he talked about how it was literally the best Ken had ever looked up until that point in 3D. So if we're being incredibly generous, that's the only one on the first row that I got. And again, that depends on how stringent you are with definitions for certain words and terms. Then the final point on row 1 is endless shit posts. Around this time, my senior year of college, I still regularly lurked on the Mongolian basket weaving forum known as 4chan, not to be confused with the anonymous hacker of the same name. Anyone that was around for that era knows about the Grinch leak, quote unquote, and if you were around for that era, you also know about Ugly Steve from Minecraft. That was certainly a unique era. All I know is that this one is absolutely true. It happened, is what I mean to say by that. But I mean, that shouldn't really be all that surprising, considering all that has to be the case for it to be true is 4chan users being very unhinged, which is, of course, like a baseline fact of reality. Okay, row 2. Quote unquote insiders backpedal to appear like they were right in the first place. This one is absolutely the case. It definitely happened. I don't remember in any specifics, but I just remember that insiders leaked certain bits of information about the game before it released, but they were always intentionally vague, and they would always kind of perform black magic with their arguments and what they had said online to make it sound like they kinda knew what they were talking about, but of course, obviously, they didn't.
Last Nintendo Direct for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate before the game launches. But before we go, I should mention that the adventure mode in this game is nothing like what we came up with for the Subspace Emissary. That said, what exactly caused all these characters to lose their bodies and transform into spirits? I'll show you how it all begins, and leave the rest to your imagination. Okay then, please look forward to the game's release.
Don't let a single one get away!
I don't really think I can count this one. Here's one last surprise, or something similar. I mean, if you disagree, please let me know in the comments. I mean, I don't think Sakurai really said anything like that. I was kind of expecting a big dramatic character reveal as the last big thing, so I'm not gonna really count that one. Then, in the middle of the second row, we have Shadow the Hedgehog, and I remember thinking before the release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate proper that we were going to get a lot more Echo Fighters than we actually ended up getting, and I can always cover it in another video if there is substantial support for it. No, I'm not gonna pretend like that's gonna happen. That's a bad joke. But I had a fully blown Shadow the Hedgehog pseudo Echo Fighter moveset drafted up for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, where all of the moves were borrowed from other characters. Obviously, that did not end up coming to pass. I would have liked to have seen Shadow become playable in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, considering it was probably substantially easier to come up with brand new Echo Fighter characters based on the fact that as a mechanic and as a concept, Echo Fighters are built on the reuse of assets and existing game content. I don't know why we didn't get more Echo Fighters after the game came out, but I digress. Then I have the Death Egg Robot as a boss. Up until the Direct itself actually came out, we did not know about the World of Light mode, but based on the Simon Belmont trailer, we knew already that we were going to get bosses in some form, and if you couldn't tell by the fact that I wanted Shadow the Hedgehog as an Echo Fighter long before the Year of Shadow, I thought that the Death Egg Robot would make for a pretty stellar boss in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but... And then last on row 2, we have, quote, Pointless Montage to waste our time. And as much as I love Masahiro Sakurai, and as much as I enjoyed the ride of the pre-release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I want to say that we kind of pseudo got that, but at the same time, I think the first 20 seconds of the final pre-release Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct kind of fit that bill, but I don't know if 20 seconds would necessarily amount to enough time to consider it wasting our time. Third row down from the top. Segment on Isabelle drags on and makes us look at the clock. That didn't happen at all. I was completely incorrect on that front, but if I don't recall correct, a lot of times characters would get revealed in a Nintendo Direct for the game, and then in the next Nintendo Direct for the game, we would get a little bit more explained about the character and how they functioned in the game. Looking back on it now with 2020 from living years after the fact, I'm not really surprised that we didn't any sort of further explanation on Isabelle, because from what I remember when the game came out, I thought, man, this character is basically an Echo Fighter without the formal title of Echo Fighter. Then row 3 from the top, second column, we have Isaac from, forgive me if I say this wrong, Golden Sun? I believe that was a Game Boy Advance RPG series, and around the time that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate came out, fans of Golden Sun were feverish and hoping upon hope that Isaac would become playable, and I never really had any attachment to Golden Sun or Isaac specifically, but it didn't really rub me the wrong way like something we're going to be covering later on this bingo card did/does, but obviously that one never came to pass. I guess at the very least they eventually added Isaac to Super Smash Flash 2. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm almost positive they did that. It was either Smash Flash or Super Smash Bros. Crusade. Can't remember. Then for the free space I have Spirits Mode, which ended up being, I think, World of Light. But it was the free space because that was so obvious. A blind man could have seen that coming down the pipe. Then I have another L and another miss. Stadium Mode. Smash Ultimate never got a Stadium Mode, and at least at the time of recording this, no major updates have been announced for it, nor have we gotten a Nintendo Switch 2 version of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate announced yet, so I don't think there's really any way you can squint your eyes and say that I got that one because, well, what I just said. Then, I believe that's the Mach Rider character. I believe Mach Rider was added to Super Smash Bros. Crusade, a Super Smash Bros. Fan game developed in Game Maker, but quite obviously we never ended up getting the Mach Rider as a character in Smash Ultimate. So then for row 4 from the top and row 2 from the bottom, first spot we have, quote, people crying about the roster because they support meme pics. Now, you can't really see it. I might crop, I don't know. Underneath the text there is a crying Wojak styled after from the WarioWare franchise. And at the very least, that means that I thought that people advocating for from WarioWare were delusional to think that she was ever going to get into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and 2 seasons of the Fighters pass, and 7 years later, oh, would you look at that? I hate being right all the time, man. Next up, we have Tabuu. You can obviously tell that I grew up with Super Smash Bros. Brawl because I expected anyone to care significantly enough about the Subspace Emissary to have the final boss of it brought back for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But no, that's not the case. We ended up getting Galeem and Darkon due to the fact that I went through my first breakup months, like literally 2 months after the release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I don't remember much of the game in general, but even if I remembered Super Smash Bros. Ultimate particularly well, World of Light and Galeem and Darkon were absolutely not one of the things that I held in particularly high esteem post-release. Tabuu is the best. That might just be childhood nostalgia talking, but I don't really care. I'm just going to act like my opinion is objectively correct, which it is. As you can tell, most of the predictions that I made in late October of 2018 before November 1st, 2018 were wrong, blatantly and in substantial quantity. But one of the few things that I got right, only because it was so bog standard obvious that we were going to get it, was the reveal of Ken Masters in the final direct pre-release. I talked kind of about it with regards to Maximilian million dude. I mean, if you were around and lurking the internet in any capacity around the time of the final Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct pre-release, pretty much everybody was just operating under the assumption that Ken Masters was going to get added to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and lo and behold, that's what happened. But for every one dub that I got a dozen L's. Not only did we not get the stage builder like I had suspected that we would get upon release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I also had assumed that we were going to get customizable playlists of multiple songs in the stage builder when we did actually get it. And unfortunately, we ended up just getting the one song per stage built in stage builder, like had been the case in Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U and in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Thinking back on it now, though, I probably should have reined my expectations in a little bit in this regard, because I feel like there would have been an untold number of legal hurdles preventing that from being implemented in the game. But I also don't remember messing around with the playlist feature very much in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as we actually got it, because I'm pretty sure they added playlists of music as a kind of feature to Smash Ultimate, and it didn't have any of those restrictions, so I guess we kind of just circle back. I'm kind of confused as to why that never got implemented as a feature, because if you've already got it working and all of the other stages in the base game as it was could have multiple songs, so I don't know why they didn't do that. But obviously that was a little bit pie in the sky, obviously, in retrospect, considering we didn't end up getting stage builder at all at this point. Then I had another fun L. I believe that's called the Metal Cave or the Meta Cave from Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64, the original Smash game. The fact that that stage itself has never been brought back in any official capacity for any official Smash games post the original Smash is kind of sad. I understand they added the kind of freehand drawing mechanics to the stage builders, both in Smash for the Wii U and in Smash Ultimate, so I guess you could actually build the Meta Cave, but I would have liked to have seen it come back like as an actual official quote-unquote stage. I know it didn't have any stage hazards, but I mean, it's important to the legacy of the franchise if you were to ask me now. Anyway, I talked too much about that. Bottom row, all the way to the left, I promise I am not a copium dealer. For context, before I say the specific name, I did not grow up with Super Mario RPG, The Legend of the Seven Stars. I didn't play it, I had no attachment to it, and thus I don't remember the name for it. All I know is that Geno fans were rampant in the Super Smash Bros. Community at this time, and I would hazard to guess, if they still exist at all in the Smash community and fan base, they probably haven't changed their tune very much, if at all. The Super Mario RPG remake that we ended up getting on the Nintendo Switch that got revealed in a later Direct obviously was not in anyone's minds at the time of the final Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct. If I were to guess, maybe the outpouring of Geno support for Smash Ultimate helped lead to the development of that remake in the first place, but obviously he didn't make it into the game. Did he even make it in as a Mii costume? I feel like he did. Memory is telling me he did, but I also might be confusing the hype cycle of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate with the hype cycle for Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U, which I remember a little bit more clearly than I do the hype cycle for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The next L on my record would be bonus mode from Melee. I guess I really shouldn't be surprised that we didn't end up getting this, but it was a fun little mode in Super Smash Bros. Melee, which even though I do own a copy of Melee, oh, that's the wrong Melee. I do own a copy of Super Smash Bros. Melee in specific. I have honestly never played the bonus point mode in Super Smash Bros. Melee, but it was kind of novel, and because I had at that point never played it, even though technically I haven't played it even till this day, I was hoping that they'd add it to Ultimate, because it really was feeling like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was living up to the Ultimate in its title, and I think part of me was expecting more than we actually got. Okay, this one's a big one. I'm gonna try to keep this brief, but I was smoking that pack back in college because I was deluded enough to hope that Incineroar was not going to end up being a playable character on the roster of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Anyone that was a member or participant in the SBY Smash scene around that time knows that it was almost a meme to acknowledge and poke fun at the fact that Henry hated Incineroar. And like I said, it has been 7 years, so I have to say that nothing has changed. I still hate that character. The meme did only repair my feelings regarding the Incineroar character just a little bit, but that was only because my friends were playfully ribbing me about how I legitimately felt about the character's inclusion in the first place. Incineroar is one of the furry bait Pokemon starter monsters, and I just found it cringy. Still do. I think I was just hoping that Incineroar was actually just going to be a Pokeball Pokemon summon, and that would be the end of that. Unfortunately, within the first, 5-10 minutes of the final pre-release Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct, I was already having to breathe slowly in order to lower my blood pressure. And now for the final mention of Stage Builder. So, pre-release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I obviously had a lot of hopes and dreams for the Stage Builder mode and feature, and I kind of wanted Masahiro Sakurai to renaissance and reboot the Stage Builder mode conceptually at the time, because I remember, and I'm sure part of it was childhood nostalgia, but when putting the Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and Super Smash Bros. Brawl Stage Builder modes head-to-head, Brawl Stage Builder just came out on top every single time. I understand that when we did get Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's Stage Builder, they added a decent amount of features to it, but I thought that Stage Builder using the ploppable blocks was just the best way of incorporating that feature generally, and obviously we hadn't gotten either of the fighter passes in release or even announced prior to that final pre-release Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct, so I didn't know that Steve was actually going to get added to the game at some point, and I personally at the time thought that if you kind of rolled back to the ploppable blocks format of the Super Smash Bros. Brawl Stage Builder, I thought a fighter wasn't necessarily the best way to represent the Minecraft IP. So I thought, okay, let's go back to the ploppable blocks and have Minecraft blocks and Minecraft content be included through the Stage Builder, as that would be the most spiritually accurate way of incorporating the Minecraft franchise. Obviously, the Stage Builder that we got in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was far closer to the Stage Builder seen in Smash for the Wii U, but you can't blame me for any of those notions and thoughts because it made a good deal of sense to me at the time, and even now, having done a decent amount of programming and seen kind of what it's like to design a game from the other side of the curtain, I don't know why they didn't do that, but I didn't get it, so that's all that matters for this video. And then last but not least, I got this one wrong, but Banjo got added in slot number 3 of Fighters Pass Round 1, and Fighters Pass got announced in the Direct on November 1st, so it's not necessarily that I was wrong, but I was a little bit before my time. My brain was just too big. So yeah, overall, didn't really get a whole lot. I didn't get a single bingo. Literally none of it. I have several other images saved in the folder in which this image is located regarding all sorts of predictions that I had for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but like I said, I don't want this video to drag on for too terribly long. I just wanted to revisit it and hopefully give myself something a little bit easier to edit. I don't want to sit behind my computer for several hours again like I did when I did my last Godzilla Brawler Battle Royale Circuit Series episode. The Super Smash Bros. Series, and particularly my experience with SBY Smash, kind of helped shape and form me into the man that I am today. Unfortunately, much of the thunder of the release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and the kind of hype cycles that followed through Fighters Pass Round 1 and 2, unfortunately lost a lot of their steam because, like I said, X1 broke up with me at the beginning of the college semester after Super Smash Bros. Ultimate came out. I remember playing Smash Ultimate for the first time in her dorm room on my Switch. So unfortunately, personal development in my life circumstances kind of sapped all of that away from me, but I thought it was interesting enough to cover the actual bingo card in this video. And like I said, I am going to be at SBY Smash 100, and hopefully this video will be out before that actually transpires. That's about all I've got. Like I said, please check out the road signs at the bottom of the screen here. I would certainly appreciate it. There is members only content now up on the channel. A decent chunk of it is archival, but it is there. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and and took it easy while you did so. And until next time, guys, I will catch you on the flip side.
Life. What a freaking nightmare.
That's kind of a wink wink nudge nudge that only I will ever get.